is new.
Enron, the smartest guys in the room, was nominated for Best Documentary Feature, and I imagine in that case was beaten by the Penguin movie, March of the Penguins. A scathing and very, very entertaining and intriguing documentary about the fall of Enron, the legal repercussions of which are still with us, I think, because isn't the Enron trial going on at the moment, or isn't there still some... Fine. Okay,
yes,
good. I only have a whiff of it because obviously I have no idea about current affairs, but I do understand that there is something still happening now. I'm looking to you to tell me what it is, but you're not going to.
Well, they're all in court.
Fine, there we go.
Is that good enough?
Yes.
That was from a court spokesman.
Okay, the documentary is based on a book by a journalist who first blew the whistle on Enron by writing an article in Fortune magazine that said that the company was overvalued. And what the documentary explains to people who know nothing about financing, which of course I don't, is that the root of the Enron problem. Two things. One of them is this thing called market-to-market accounting, which I'd never heard of, and I imagine most of the audience never have heard of it. But it's essentially a way which allows a company to be valued not on the basis of what it's actually worth, but on the basis of what it thinks it will be worth, or what it tells everyone it will be worth, on projected incomes rather than actual incomes. That's really all you need to know.
Right.
That's all you need to No, believe me, that really is all you need to know. No, it's very simple.
Five Live Money, Mark Kermode.
It's very simple. If I can understand it, believe me, a 4-year-old can understand it, although it's a 15 certificate film, so a 4-year-old couldn't understand it because they're not allowed to by the BBFC, because the film contains strong language and some scenes in a strip club. So, moving swiftly on. Now, although the subject matter sounds rather dry, the documentary itself is thrillingly interesting, even if you have no interest in markets at all, because the motto of Enron was apparently "Ask Why," although a more appropriate motto would have been, what the hell? How is this happening? This company, which is clearly in terrible trouble, continues to post profits. And there is one absolutely marvellous scene shot on video. I don't know whether or not they knew it was being shot, in which one of the company's heads stands up in front of an audience of employees, and basically this is at the point in which the ship is sinking. There's a great quote about the point of when the Titanic went down, at least the lights were still on. As far as Enron was concerned, the lights weren't even on. As the company is going down, he stands up in front of a whole audience of the company and says, everything's fine, we had a blip, it's going to be, I know what you've read in the press, don't worry about it, it's all marvellous, future is bright, future is great, everything's going to be terrific, don't worry. And he says, and now I'll take questions from the audience. And he's been given a pile of questions, and he opens it, and the first question is, are you on crack? And it's just a wonderful moment, because that is literally the level at which the thing functions. If you've seen things like, the feature film Rogue Trader, the Nick Leeson movie, which never really worked. It sort of fell about between two stools, but the basic premise of it was, if you lie big enough, if you just keep lying, and if you can keep lying through the bad patch, somehow you may be able to get out of it. But the problem is you lie and lie and lie and lie and lie, and then the bubble bursts. And in the case of the Enron thing, whether it's whether what they did was legal or illegal is still to be found out. But basically, the company expanded and expanded and expanded, and the suggestion of the documentary is that it expanded way beyond the point that everybody knew that it was all going to go completely down the toilet. And then just collapsed in this huge catastrophe. And you sit there watching the documentary, slack-jawed. Now, I've watched it twice. The first time I watched it, I had a little trouble following some of the more kind of complicated market stuff, because numbers have always slightly befuddled me. But what brought me back to it the second time... You
always given it in a grant, weren't you? So you never had to...
Well, exactly. So what did I know? I did an arts degree. I did an English degree. As they like to say, English degrees, please take one. And what drew me back to it was the cast of characters, this extraordinary rogues gallery of characters who, through, on the one hand, being fantastically charismatic, and on the other hand, just completely bullheaded, managed to make this thing happen. You are also left in no doubt whatsoever as to the bravery of the journalism of the journalist who first blew the whistle, who first wrote this article in Fortune magazine saying, I think that things are not right here, and boy, did she turn out to be correct in ways that even she couldn't have imagined.
Do you think people will, spend their £5 going to see essentially a documentary?
No, it's not essentially a documentary. It is a documentary. It's absolutely a documentary. There are dramatised reconstructions in it, some of them in strip clubs, but it is a documentary. But as we've all seen, documentaries can have a cinematic life, and to some extent, I think we do have Michael Moore to thank for that, although I find that obviously very difficult to say. It's like in the same way that Fonzie can't say I was wrong, I find it difficult to say we have Michael Moore to thank for anything at all, other than annoying everybody. But documentaries have now got, and also the incredibly irritating Nick Broomfield, they do have a place in the cinema. And certainly in terms of intrigue, there's one marvellous moment in which it talks about power companies and power companies being privatised and power generators being shut down in order to affect the price of power. So blackouts. This was all to do, you remember in California when Governor Gray Davis ended up losing out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. All the background to this is in the documentary, and it's fascinating and intriguing, but as I said, in the end, the thing that brings you back to it, it's not the numbers, it's not the accountancy, it's the characters, it's the sheer wonderment that something on this scale could have happened and been documented in this way. It really is very powerful stuff.